Hello everyone, how are you doing? This is the first part of a series that I'm going to teach you how you can create a scanning effect here in Unreal Engine 5. So as you can see, I'm here in an open world level with my character, and as you can see, I have nothing on the character. So if I press F now, which is the key to do the scanning, nothing happens. But we do have this device, as you can see. So if I pick this, now I have the device on my left arm, as you can see, and now I can do the scanning. So for this, I add these boxes here to show. So if I press F now, there we go, we do the scanning. And as you can see, the icons for the boxes appear in the screen and stay there for a little bit and just disappear. Of course, you can change all these parameters, but this is what I'm going to teach you in this series. So if you do like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe so you don't lose any new content. And if you have any questions on this, feel free to ask in the comments and I'll try to help you out. So let's start. First, let's import the static mesh for the scanner. So for this, here in the content folder, I'm going to create a new folder. Let's call this meshes. Then inside this folder, let's create a new folder for the scanner. And now let's import the scanner mesh. So I'll leave a link in the description below so you can download all the assets that I'm going to use in this system. If you want to follow along, just download these assets. So now let's import here. Let's go to import and just navigate to the folders, and here in the models folder, scanner folder, we have the static mesh for the scanner. I also have here a skeleton mesh, but for now let's only import the static mesh. Let's select this and let's open. I'll leave this as default and just import. And as you can see, the textures is imported as well, but we are missing the metallic map here. So for this, let's import again, right click, then import to here. In the same folder, in the scanner folder, we have the textures here, and in here we can import the metallic one. So let's select this and import. There we go, now we have all the textures. So let's just create a new folder here for textures. And let's put all the textures inside this folder. Let's move here. There we go. Let's open the scanner material here so we can fix some things because it's wrong. So as you can see, this map is in the albedo. I think it's right. Let me see. So it is the albedo. So we have the roughness on the metallic. So this is wrong. Let's unplug this. We have the emission on the emission. It's right. And the normal on the normal. So let's put the roughness here into the roughness. Now let's grab the metallic map that we imported. There we go. Let me put here. And now let's plug this into the metallic pin here. There we go. Now everything is correct, but we can increase a little bit by adding some color to the emission here. So for this, I'm gonna hold 3 on the keyboard and left click to create a constant tree vector here. Let me put this in white by default, and let's multiply this map with this color so we can change the color later. And to change the intensity, let's multiply again this value by some scalar parameter. So just hold S on the keyboard and left click to create a scalar parameter. Let's call this emission intensity. I'm going to default this with 50 by default. Let's plug here in the multiply and then the results of this into the emission. Let's apply and save. And now if you open the mesh, as you can see, we have the mesh working here. There we go. Now let's import the pickup mesh, the mesh that we're gonna use to create the effect around the item. For this, let's create a new folder here. Let's call this pickup effect mesh, and let's import. So in the same folder that I'll leave to download, we have in the models folder, we have the pickup mesh, and then we have the FBX here. Just import this. Let's import here. There we go. And while we're here, let's create a new folder for the textures. And then let's import the textures that is inside the pickup mesh folder, the pickup line and pickup mask. Let's import these two. There we go. Now let's create the shader for the pickup effect mesh. So let's go here to the pickup effect mesh folder, right click and create a new material. Let me call this M pickup effect. There we go. Let's create an instance for that. So right click and create material instance. Let me name this MI pickup effect. And now let's open the shader. There we go. And first let's change the blend mode from opaque to translucent, because we need to deal with the opacity here, and the shading model from default lit to unlit, because this doesn't need to be affected by light. So first let's start with the color here. This will be really simple, so let's add a constant tree vector here by holding 3 on the keyboard and left click. There we go. Let me convert this to parameter, so right click and convert to parameter. Let me call this pickup color. There we go. Let me default this to maybe something a little bit orange here. There we go. And now let's multiply this with some intensity. So let's hold M on the keyboard and left click to add a multiply node. Let's multiply this color with a scalar parameter. So hold S on the keyboard and left click to add a scalar parameter. Let's call this intensity. There we go. And by default, let's put 1 here. There we go. Let's put in B, and this is the color. So let's put in the emissive color. There we go. And for the opacity, we're gonna use those 2 textures that I leave to download. So let's go here in the folders, in the pickup effect mesh, in the textures. First, let's use this pickup line. So let's drag to the graph here. And I want this to be going from the bottom to the up of the model in an animated way. So let's add a panner here, right click and add panner. There we go. With this we can move the textures, so let's connect this into the UVs. And for the speed, I'm going to create a parameter here, so let's add a constant 2 vector here with holding 2 on the keyboard and left click to add this, then right click and convert to parameter. There we go. Let's name this speed. Let's connect this into the speed here pin in the panner, and by default I'm gonna put 1 on the red and 1 on the green, so the X and Y values here. And now let's connect this into the opacity so you can see. As you can see, we have the texture moving from down to up here in the model. Let's apply now and save. And let me put this into the model here. So let's open the static mesh pickup here. There we go. It's just a simple model, as you can see, just a simple cylinder. Let's go to the material here and let's find the MI pickup effect. And there we go. As you can see, we have this cool animated effect going from down to up here. But as you can see, we are not seeing the inside of this mesh. To do this, let's go back to the material, and then here in the 2-sided we need to check this box. So let's check this, let's apply and save, and there we go. Now we are seeing the both sides of the mesh. So let's go back to the material here. Let's add the coordinates to this panner. So for this, just hold U on the keyboard and left click to add the texture coordinates here. And I'm going to multiply this with a tiling parameter. So let's hold S and left click to add a scalar parameter, and let's name this tiling. By default I'm gonna put 1 here just to see if it is working. So let's multiply these two together, then let's add this into the coordinate here, and nothing has changed, which means it's right, as you can see. Now let me put maybe 5 here to add more of these strips, and there we go, we have this effect. Now I want to fade these lines close to the upper part of the mesh here. So for this we're gonna use the second texture. So let's go to the content browser here. If you don't remember, just press Ctrl and space on the keyboard to open the content browser, and let's drag these textures here. And we just need to multiply these two together. So let's add a multiply here. Let's multiply these two together and add this into the opacity. And as you can see, the lines start to fade close to the middle here. So let's apply, save, let's go here. There we go. We created this cool effect here. Now we can start creating the blueprint for the pickup. So let's close these tabs right now. We don't need this. Let's go to the content here and let me create a new folder. Let's call this blueprints. Let's open this, and here let's create a blueprint class, a simple actor. Let me rename this BP pickup scanner. There we go. Let's open this. And first let's add the scanner mesh. So for this, just go to add here in the components and then type static mesh. There we go. Let me rename this to SM scanner. SM stands for static mesh. And here in the SM scanner, let's choose the static mesh here in the static mesh. So let's click here and then let's search for the scanner. There we go. And as you can see, we just added this scanner here. Let me put a little bit up here. There we go. And now let's add the effect, the pickup effect. So let's add another static mesh here. There we go. Let me name this SM pickup effect. Let's choose the static mesh here, this one. There we go. Now let me compile and save, and let me put this in the level so you can see. So let's put here. Let me play this. Let me increase the size here of the window, and there we go. We have this pickup here. Let's now make the device, the scanner device, move a little bit so it seems like a pickup. So let's go back here to the pickup scanner and let's go to the event graph. First, let's make the model go up and down. So for this, first we need to get the relative location of the scanner. So let's delete these two events here. We don't need this. And let's create a new variable. Let me call this scanner start position. This will be the start position of the motion. So this is a vector. We need this to be a vector, so it is a position. Now let's set this variable here in the begin play, and the values here will be this scanner here. So let's get this, and from here we can get the relative location. There we go, and this is the start location of the scanner. Later we will use this value here. So now let's create a timeline to define the motion. So let's grab from this and let's type add timeline. So for this, I'm going to name this scanner position timeline. There we go. Let me put a capital S here. There we go. Let's open this timeline and let's add a new track here. So in the track, let's add a float track. I'm gonna name this alpha. There we go. The length here will be 1 second. And now let's add 3 points to this graph. So to add a point, just hold Shift and left click to add a point. So let's add one here. And for this point, the time will be 0 and the value will be also 0. Let's add a new point here. So this will be, the time would be 0.5 and the value would be 1. There we go. And now let's add a new point here. The time would be 1 and the value will be 0 again. So now you can click on these two buttons here to frame these points in the screen here. And as you can see, we have a motion going up and down. This is basically the scanner here going up and down as well. So let's make this nice curve so it is a little bit smooth. So let's select all these points here. Just hold Shift and select these points, then right click on a point and change to auto. There we go. Now we have a nice curve like this. Now we can compile and save, and let's go back to the main graph here. We can close this timeline. And as you can see, we have the alpha here. So this is what we're going to use in a lerp node. So let's add a lerp here. Just type lerp. And because we are lerping between two positions, we need the lerp vector. Choose lerp vector here. There we go. And the first position is the start position. So let's get this. Let's put in the A. And for the B, we need the up vector of the scanner. So for this, let's get the scanner here and let's get the relative rotation. There we go. And from here, we can get the up vector. So let's get up vector. So this is basically the up direction of this scanner. So now we can multiply this with some distance. So you can change how far up this motion will be. So let's go here in the variables and let's create a new variable here. Let's name this up distance. And this should be a float. There we go. For now, let's put maybe 50 here. Let's compile so we can change the default value. Let's put 50 here so we can test. And now we just need to multiply these two. So let's drag this and type a multiply. And for the B, let's get the up distance here. And this is the B value of the lerp. And for the alpha, of course, is the alpha of the timeline here. Let's grab this and put here. Let me add this reroute here. Just double click on a line to add these reroutes here. And now we can set again this value on the scanner. So with the scanner here, let's drag a reference to the scanner. Let's drag a wire here and let's type set relative location. So we need to set a new location here from the update of the timeline. So every time that this timeline updates, we need to update the location with this new location here. There we go. And now if we compile and save, let's hit play here. Let me increase the size here. As you can see, the motion, I think you can see the motion doing only once. That's because I forgot to change the timeline to a loop. So just add this timeline again, double click to open it. And here in the timeline, just click in this button, the loop button. Just click here. Now we can compile and save. And if we hit play now, let me increase. As you can see, it is going up and down. Now let's add a way of changing this velocity here. For this is really simple. We just need to change the rate of this timeline. So first, let me drag this a little bit to the left here, so we make some room here. Before playing this timeline, we need to change its rate. So for this, let's get the timeline. So every timeline that you add is a component, so you can find it here in the variables components. It is here, scanner position timeline. Let's get a reference to this. And from here, we can set the rate, set the play rate. There we go. Let's set this before playing the timeline. And the new rate, we're going to create a variable for this. So let me create a new variable here. Let me call this position speed. There we go. Let me put 1 by default here. And now we just need to divide 1 by this value. So from this, let's type divide, but this should be in the B value here, the second value, and the first one should be 1. So it is 1 divided by this value, and this is the new rate. There we go. And now, so we can change these values on every instance of this blueprint, let's enable the I here. Just clicking this I in the variable, so you enable the instance editable. Now let's compile this and save. And if we select this blueprint here, as you can see in the details, we have the position speed. So if I increase this actually makes this a little bit slower because this is in seconds. So if I save this and hit play, let me increase here. As you can see now, it takes 5 seconds to do the full motion, as you can see. And of course, you can change this name to something like, let's change this now. So position speed, let's change this position motion in seconds, so it is more explanatory. So let's save this. There we go. And now if we increase this, we are actually increasing the seconds of this motion. So now let's make, so while this is going up and down, it is actually rotating as well. So let's do this. Okay, let's do the rotation now. So first, let me select all this. Let me comment this with position. There we go. Let me put a nice blue here. There we go. And down here, let's create the rotation. So this will happen every frame. So let's add a tick event here. There we go. And first, I need to get the rotation of the scanner, the current rotation. So let's grab a reference to this scanner here. And let's get the relative rotation. There we go. Now let's right click on this pin here and split structure pin. So we have the X, Y, and Z here. Now I need to change this rotation on the Z axis here. So first let's create a variable for the rotation speed. So let's add here a rotation speed variable. This will be a float as well. And first let's get this and multiply with the delta seconds. So let's, from the delta seconds here, let's multiply with the rotation speed, so we get the final velocity here. So we are multiplying this with the delta time to make this frame independent. So now we just need to add this value on the current Z rotation. So let's, from this, let's add. So this is actually on the second pin here and the Z in the first one. So this is the new Z rotation. So let's set now in the scanner. So let's get this scanner. From here we can set the relative rotation. There we go. Let's put the flow here in the set relative location, and from here we can right click and split as well. So we are only changing the Z rotation. So let's plug this in the Z here. So now if we save and compile, let's add some rotation here to the speed, maybe 50. There we go. Let's compile and save now. If we hit play, let me increase this. As you can see, the scanner are rotating as well. So as you wish, you can go here to the scanner and make this public as well, so we can edit this in the instance. So if select here, the rotation speed is right here, so we can increase this maybe to 100. Let's see. And we increase the rotation speed of the scanner. There we go. And I forgot to mention, but if you want, you can go to the blueprint here, and then in the up distance you can make this instance editable as well, so you can change the up distance in the blueprint. So if you want this to go a little bit less up, you can change this value to maybe 30. Let's save this and let's hit play to see. And as you can see, now it's not that high. And that's basically it for this first part. So in this part we created just the basic structure of this pickup item. So in the second part we're gonna add functionality to this blueprint, so we can actually pick this and add to the character. So if you have any questions on this, please feel free to ask in the comments and I'll try to help you. So if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe, that helps me a lot. And as always, thank you for watching, keep learning, and I'll see you next time.